The Spaceman and the Dinosaur. Close your eyes as you listen to me reading this story about the spaceman and the dinosaur. So with your eyes closed, you can listen to me reading this story. And while I read this story, you can begin to feel relaxed. And as I read, you can imagine this story and begin to drift off to sleep. As you drift off asleep, you can continue this story in a dream. And my reading will help you feel sleepy. It will help you feel tired, and it will help you fall asleep. One night, Johnny fell asleep. As he drifted deeper and deeper asleep, Johnny began to dream about meeting a spaceman. The spaceman landed in his back garden in his spaceship. Johnny had never been on a spaceship before, so he asked the spaceman whether he could go inside his spaceship. The spaceman, who wore a white space coat with a white helmet, said that Johnny could come aboard the spaceship. Johnny walked up the ramp to the door and inside. He was excited because he was about to find out what the inside of a spaceship looked like. The spaceman walked up the ramp behind Johnny. The door opened with a hiss and a clang, and Johnny walked into the spaceship, followed closely by the spaceman. Once in the rocket, Johnny started to look around. He wanted to go and explore. The spaceship was very large. Johnny walked down the first corridor and found some rooms that looked like bedrooms. He then went up to the next level, where he found a games room full of toys and a pool table. Johnny stopped to play for a while before the spaceman said they needed to go to the bridge, which is where they fly the spaceship from. Johnny and the spaceman travelled in the lift up to the top of the spaceship, and they entered the bridge. "Put on your seatbelt," the spaceman said to Johnny. "We're going to take off and go on a journey." Johnny buckled his seatbelt as the spaceman began to get the spaceship ready for takeoff. The spaceman pressed a big red button that started a countdown from 10 to 1. And on the count of 1, the spaceship would start its ascent into space. 10, 9, 8. The countdown was slow, and with each count, Johnny grew more excited. 7, 6, 5. Johnny could hear the rumble beginning in the spaceship as the engines started up ready for takeoff. 4, 3, 2, 1. On the count of 1, the whole spaceship began to shake and rattle. The rumble from the engines sounded like thunder. Johnny could feel himself being pushed back in his seat as the spaceship rose into the sky. After about 30 seconds, the rumbling began to go quiet. The spaceship stopped shaking and rattling. Johnny began to relax. as everything inside the spaceship seemed to come to a standstill. Johnny felt funny. He didn't know why, but something seemed different. "You can undo your seatbelt now, Johnny," said the spaceman. Johnny undid his seatbelt and went to stand up. But when he tried to stand up, he just floated up out of his seat. Now the spaceship had reached space. Johnny discovered he was weightless. "Wow," Johnny said with a big grin. He pushed off of his seat and floated over to the window. He looked out of the window and could see the earth below him. He could see white clouds, green land and blue sea. The earth looked like a giant colourful marble against the black background of space. Johnny looked out of another window in the other direction, and he could see lots and lots of stars, along with what looked like a giant colourful cloud stretching across his whole view. "It's beautiful," Johnny said. Johnny had never been into space before this point, but now that he had, he definitely wanted to come back here again. "It's time to go home," the spaceman said. Johnny was disappointed. He wanted more time in space. He didn't want to go home yet. The spaceman turned the spaceship towards the Earth, ready to head home. But while the spaceship was heading home, it passed through a strange purple cloud. The spaceman had never seen a cloud like it. When the spaceship came out of the other side of the cloud, the earth below looked different. The spaceman had to continue his journey down to the earth, although he didn't know what was going on. Nor could he understand why the earth looked so different. "Put your seatbelt back on, Johnny," said the spaceman. "We're about to enter the Earth's atmosphere." Johnny got back in his seat, put on his seatbelt. As the spaceship entered the Earth's atmosphere, it began to shake and rattle like it had done when they took off. The spaceship travelled deeper and deeper into the Earth's atmosphere, getting closer and closer to the ground. After a minute or so, the shaking and rattling stopped, and the rest of the flight down to the ground was calmer and more comfortable. When the spaceship landed, Johnny and the spaceman went outside to see where they were. Thud, 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 thud. It looked like they were near a forest of giant trees. Thud, 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 thud. Johnny and the spaceman could hear the footsteps of what sounded like a giant walking along. Then they heard a sound a bit like a whale's call. Johnny and the spaceman looked around, but they couldn't see where the sound was coming from. They walked around the other side of the spaceship and still couldn't see its source. Then all of a sudden, one of the trees seemed to lift itself up out of the ground. Johnny realized it wasn't a tree, but rather it was the leg and foot of a giant dinosaur. The leg swung forward before thudding back down onto the ground, followed by 3 more legs doing the same. Johnny looked up to the top of the trees, where he noticed a small head on top of a long neck, eating the leaves among the treetops. Johnny and the spaceman wanted to investigate further. They ran over to the giant dinosaur. They didn't know how they'd got here, or even where here was. Maybe passing through that strange purple cloud was like passing through a wormhole that made them travel back in time millions of years. Right back to when dinosaurs were on Earth. Johnny and the spaceman climbed up into one of the tall trees to get a closer look. The dinosaur swung its head towards them to eat leaves from the tree they were in. Johnny broke off some leaves and fed these to the dinosaur. He thought to himself, "This is the most exciting night of my life," as the dinosaur ate the leaves and almost seemed to smile at Johnny for being so kind. After a while, the spaceman told Johnny it was time to go. The spaceman was going to try to fly back through that purple cloud and see if it might take them back to their own time. Johnny and the spaceman climbed down from the tree, went back to the spaceship and prepared to take off. Johnny wasn't going to forget tonight. He had fed a dinosaur, met a spaceman, and flown in a spaceship in space. The spaceship took off with a rumble and headed back into space. The spaceman steered his way towards the purple cloud. When they came out the other side and looked down at the Earth, they saw that it all looked normal again. The spaceman was relieved. "Let's get you home," the spaceman said to Johnny as he flew the spaceship down to Earth. The spaceman landed the spaceship back in Johnny's garden. Johnny climbed down and said goodbye to the spaceman before making his way indoors and up to bed. Johnny slept well that night, dreaming vividly of spaceships and dinosaurs.